Good evening. It's Norma Cowie. As usual, it's about a minute before 7 uh, because I wait and wait. And then so usually it's around a minute to 7 before I come on live for the mental mind treatments. Excuse me. To begin and sort of use up some time if people are coming in here, I woke up 2 days ago. I kind of wrenched my wrist. I did something, I don't know. I call it wrenching. I don't know what the proper name for is it with, but it's like I hurt my wrist anyway. And it wasn't really bad, but I've done it before, so I didn't think too much about it. And then last night I had a dream that I had my wrist in plaster and it was really sore and everything else. And I woke up and I could hardly use this right hand at all. And I'm very right-handed. So I was really, luckily now it's feeling pretty good. So I've been doing some healing to it all day long. But it just reminds me that dreams can be really important to what's really actually happening and going on. And and so that was kind of an interesting thing to happen. Several things have happened today, actually, that have been interesting in my world, and in essence. And I see that Kayla has already signed on here, and she had texted me earlier as to what she wanted mental mind treatment for, and so we're going to begin with that. But so. Basically, it's to see clearly old habits. I call them habits, old patterns, plus letting go of the reactions to that. And that's what happens. And I have spoken about that a lot on my Wednesday talks about how we have made decisions that create our programming and that we just keep doing the same old thing. But the key is to be aware of them. When we become aware of them, then there are ways in which we can choose to change that and make that and very, very different. Plus, which makes sense, is plus developing new healthy patterns, which are aligned with her present and future. And this to me, I know many because of the emails I get and comments that are made, is that many people listen to this and have an effect. And I know many of us, and even myself, I've noticed a few old patterns rearing their heads again. When you think they're all gone and, you just go along in your world and there it is. Here's all these old patterns again. So this is for any of us, all of us, and myself included, who feel that we want to see clearly these old patterns and change our reactions to them. In the divine essence, knowing there is one power and one essence in all things, I join myself 100% for this evening in knowing that power is accessible and works through me. I, at this point, speak my word for Kayla. And as I speak my word for Kayla, I know that I'm able to recognize and see clearly my old patterns, my habits, my reactions, and that I can choose to let go of them and make new decisions and make new awarenesses. In this way, I develop a new healthy pattern for which is more in alignment with my present and future. I know that as I give thanks, as I give thanks in this awareness, that these old patterns will show themselves so strongly, it'll be like, oh, so it's almost like understanding where they all come from. And then as you breathe those out, the new awarenesses of how to handle, how to deal, how to cope, and just sometimes a straight accept whatever is going on will be done with ease and with grace. I give thanks in knowing that this has occurred and will keep on occurring and be more present with every breath that Kayla has or anybody else has that chooses to become more aware and be more in direction of their lives. And I give thanks by saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. I release this thought knowing it's true, it's done. And I also say, and so it is. And so I thank you, Miss Kayla, and I hope that really makes a big difference to you. Karen. Okay. I have to read it through because I have to find out what you're saying. I'm always peering because it's very small print for my eyes. I loved your Wednesday talk. Thank you. And it helped me to notice that a treatment for being more consistent when I set a goal would be very beneficial. And then much love. Yeah, Karen. So I just want to get a handle. See, that's what I'm thinking. I'm just going to move this a little closer to me because I really want to make sure I see this properly. So in other words, we want a treatment for being more consistent when I set a goal. Consistent. Okay, can I talk a little bit about goal setting? It's one of the things I spoke about for many, many years before I began to really realize all the spiritual connotations about it. What's important for a goal is what I find, and why I'm speaking about this, because I think this may be where you're tripping up. What we want to do when we go to set a goal, we want to go for the end result. And what a lot of people do, I'm not saying that you do this, but a lot of people do, is they set what I call a step to the goal as the goal. I have a little meditation actually that I've led groups through to figure out what they need to do to acquire to a goal. And very often they realize that the step is not the goal. What the way you're going to go for it is not the end result. It is what's going beyond that. So what we need here is as clarity of what the goal is. So that's the goal. Then you walk towards that goal. And the interesting thing is the universe very often will put the steps there, or you'll see them, what you need to take or do. The key is not to worry about the middle. You know where you are, you know where you want to go. What's the first step? That's the question I ask even myself today. What's my first step? What do I need to do first? In the meantime, let's just do our mental mind treatment. Okay, and I'm just reading that one more time to be consistent, right? Divine Essence, Mother, Father, Son is one. I'm doing a prayer on behalf, I'm saying prayer this time, prayer on behalf of Karen, so that she may find more consistency in creating her goals. As I know we are all connected, I can speak my word for Karen in this matter. And as we work into the mental mind treatment and the awareness of all that there is, what I see here is more of a clarity of belief. What is needed is belief that it could possibly happen. In other words, we want to X out the word possibly and know that it will. We need to have trust and faith that the wonderful sense of what we could call the divine essence, I'd call that, but the universal love force is there to support you in your goals and will show you the way. They will come, thoughts will come to you, pieces of information will come to you. It is all there if you are very clear on the end result. And you don't waver from that because that's what you've decided. Now, sometimes things can change and you can veer and make a different path. But it's like knowing the fact of what it is that you want, that you become clear and the vision is there. And so the vision of what it is that you're wanting is that really in that sense of knowing that the steps will be laid out for you. And believe me, in my life, many, many miracles have occurred in knowing this pattern of how to create these. And thank you for mentioning Wednesday's talk. Yes, because I do work to get the information out on many different topics during that talk that I do on Wednesdays. So let us go back into this mental mind treatment and that from the point of gratitude and giving thanks. So I give thanks on behalf of Karen, knowing that her consistent knowingness that not only does she deserve what it is that she's wanting, I'm going to say asking for, because I think that's where you still are. Please may I have, rather than this is what I want. So it's really by knowing that consistency that it can and will be given to you. So usually often we feel we have to measure up to some criteria, especially if we've come from a family that expects that. What ends up happening, instead of just moving into gratitude, that it will be there and the knowingness it will be there. even though we don't know how we're going to get there. It will be. And in achieving that, so that there's a consistent value in the direction of goals. No, we don't just have one goal, we have many goals for sure, but each one needs to be treated separately. Are we choosing the goal that is a step to the real goal? Are we being aware of the direction of the goal that we're wanting to take and where we're wanting to take? All of those come in a sense of being. I give thanks in knowing that Karen's, I'm going to say, clutter of the mind is dissipating, and that she's getting clearer on the goals that she really wants to obtain, because that is where the energy is going to go. And that she can, in effect, create easily that which she would like to have happen, occur in her life. And I give thanks in the knowing of this. I give thanks in the knowing. So as I release this thought, knowing that it is done, I can say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. There was a thought I had near the end of that, but it wasn't quite in that. Is that sometimes when we create a goal, when we get there, we realize that's not really what we want. And that's appropriate, because that's what life is like. We just move from one thing to the other. And if we just say, oh, here I am, I'm at my goal, that's it. No, that's not it. What is the next step? What is the progression? Now you can have, and I'm also going to just say this here too, you can have physical goals, mental goals, emotional goals, real life goals, like my lamp sitting here. We have goals for on all sorts of different variations. Our creativeness, our and you'll see through the mental mind treatments that come through how many of them are so different in many, many ways, what they're asking for. But all of that is all the same energy is used to create whatever it is that you want. And it's by having these show up, instead of saying, oh, I really wish I had this or that. When you work in an effective way and that is responded, you may find what it is that you want. This and that isn't exactly quite right. And that's okay. That's part of life. And then you move on from there. So Karen, she says, I always love your comment. And she says, so dead on as always. Well, thank you. I really appreciate the support. I just want to welcome Maggie G. How can we clear our monkey minds? Okay, I can do a treatment on monkey minds, but basically is that you really need to get clear of what you're wanting. Now, I have a little technique that I teach my clients, and I've talk about occasionally on Wednesdays, and it's called FIR. When you have a thought that does not support the direction that you're going in, you freeze it in space and time. Then you absolutely evaporate it. And then you replace the thought with what it is that you want. So what happens is a lot of the thoughts that are going on in a monkey mind are usually not things you really want. It's just busyness. And sometimes that's just a habit. We create habits of keeping our mind busy. And so it's really about getting in touch with how our thoughts work. And that means creating an observer to watch them, to watch the ticker tape that goes across, and then begin to ferret out those thoughts that you don't feel are what you really want to have, or that they represent you in the way that you want to be represented. And remember, what you're dealing with here is your subconscious mind. All your thoughts are caught in your subconscious mind, and they come across the conscious mind, like that ticker tape, as I said. And you can find out how. So I'm just going to do a generalized mental mind treatment around monkey mind of that and Maggie G, and we'll just see how that all comes together. I know there is one power in one essence, and I know that we all are connected to that power, and if we choose to utilize it. And I invite that power right now for those people, and in particular Maggie G, who has the monkey mind syndrome, that the clarity of their own thinking comes very clear to them, that what their subconscious is throwing up, they become clear is that is this what I want or is this what I don't want? And they are actually able to utilize the freeze, evaporate, and then replace it with the thoughts they do want so easily, so simply, so aware that it's just like a hot knife going through butter. There is this awareness of being in command of what is happening within your own essence of self and not giving the power away to all the different thoughts that have been accumulated through time that the subconscious just throws out willy-nilly or gets triggered because of something that has happens outside. It is about gaining control of the life in a way, and just as a person who rides a horse holds the reins, it's like who is in command. Whatever is most important is that you become into command of your own thinking process. These are your thoughts. Your thoughts create your vibrational rate. And as your thoughts are going out willy nilly and who knows, all over the place, that means the universe is saying, what do they really want? I don't know. It's like spaghetti. I don't know which is the main thing. So there's a lot of energy that is lost, that is wasted, that is just a mess. I know that by asserting that inner strength, by becoming aware that this thought I want and this thought I don't want, you can create for yourself the thoughts going back into the subconscious are exactly what you want. This gives you a sense of power over your own mind, but also power over your life. I give thanks in knowing that Maggie G and anyone else who listens to this that has a monkey mind realizes it feels like it's in control, but it is not. It's just that you've given up your power. And so it's basically based on personal power of creating that, getting control of what's happening in the mind so that what's going back into the subconscious that puts the power out to create will be in alignment with what you're wanting, so that all these levels that we have, our conscious, subconscious, superconscious, where the heavenly bodies are, all work together. I give thanks in the knowing of this. I give thanks in knowing that Maggie G will be able to create for herself the power to be able to say, yes, this is what I want. The rest of it can just disappear because it's evaporated and gone and being praised. And for this knowingness, I say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. I do want to mention one thing. It is very important when you're dealing with transforming energy that you replace the energy. And that's why I say you evaporate the old thought and you replace it with a new one. The replacement of energy is one of the most important things I learned over the years, because I do work with energy all the time, in clearing people's blocks. And it's very important that we always refill with love, with light, with what it is that you want, because if not, subconscious just recreates what it knows, which is what it originally has, which you're trying to basically clear. So I just want to make sure that's really clear. So I trust that helps, Maggie G. Okay, Kayla says, thank you for your treatment and reinforcing the awareness and thus the ease in releasing the old unhealthy patterns, creating a new and wonderful present and future. And so I just say, and so it is for that, because that really makes that so much easier, so much easier. Now, I'm also going back to my notes of people who I've talked to or contacted through this week. Remember, you can always email me. And if you don't know my email address, because you're not on the e-list or anything like that, just go to my website, normacowie.com, because it's right there, a contact form. You can contact me. And I think and it has my email address and maybe some other things there. Anyway, I want to talk about fear, because I'm going to do a treatment here working with a lady that I worked with and about releasing fear. Fear, false evidence appearing real, I always think is very, very good, an acronym for that, fear. But fear comes from many places. And it's not always just because you have a thought that's gone a little awry. It's often, as in this person's case, which I will call Miss A, is about coming, living a lifetimes, amazing lifetimes, where the outside world was fearful, where outside world had situations happening which created and generated fear. Throughout time, there has been a constant fear factor that has gone on. So the person lives in constant fear, a constant, ongoing, complete fear of whatever. I can't imagine that. I've seen it, I've experienced it, I've seen it for this person. And so we're just going to do a treatment here for Miss A on the power of releasing the fear and moving into that trust and faith of love, which seems funny in this case because this person lives in relation to love, but there's all this fear, and it's like two worlds. And what we need is the love to actually release all the fear. I know there is one power and there is one essence. And as I speak my word for Miss A, I know that the fear, which is millennia old, is eroding, is slowly being eroded, so that in the subconscious level is that it just evaporates all the shadows. It evaporates all the lifetimes that have been living with high intense nervous tension and fear. It evaporates the essence of that and brings in the lovingness of always being there to ensure that you are safe and sound and taken care of. There is this element of fear which says, no matter what you do, I'm going to win. And that element of the fear, which many of us were taught as the boogeyman when we were little or something similar to that, takes on its own life. And yet it is a created life trying to explain why the fear. And if we do not know the cause of the fear, if we do not get to the baseline of the fear, then nothing ever changes. But if we see what the fear has actually come from, we can choose. We can choose to trust and have faith in the universal love force, whatever you want to call that, knowing that you can bring that into your subconscious, into the awareness of the pattern of the old fears, and literally evaporate them and destroy them forever, and having them replaced with love and trust in self and the universal force. I know that sometimes that is tremendous faith to do that, to take on the fear head to head and just blow it away, knowing that it has no relevancy within your life at this moment, and breathing in the love to replace the space that fear has taken up, to let go of all the shadows, to let go of all the other aspects that are seen, to let go of the fear of the night, to let go of all that seems to hold. It's like being held in ransom, because you know the life you want, the life you strive for, but it's always there. And just, it's like a balloon blowing up, and you take the pin and you just prick it and the air goes out, then you have the balloon, and then you can put that in the garbage. You can release that and let that space be taken up with the love, understanding, and faith, not only in yourself, but in life. I give thanks in the knowingness that this is ongoing and helpful, and more with every breath that you take, that the trust and the faith is strengthening and deepening and broadening within you, and that as you move forward, the light shines brightly and the shadows just disappear. And I give thanks for this knowingness. I give thanks by saying, And so it is, as I release this, knowing it's true. And so it is. Amen. Whew. Okay, I just take a look back up on here. Maggie G has just said thank you. And we'll work on this, which I did for her. Always bang on it. Oh, I just do like, I must admit, I do like hearing that does make sense to people. Or remember your word, Effie. It works, believe me. And she just saying wonderful treatments tonight. Thank you. You are blessed to have you for online for us. Yes. Well, I have to tell you that being here with you for this time period live was because I was feeling this pressure of doing something live, not just live talking like I do on Sundays or Wednesdays when I record for some people and then put it up on my site or my channel, I guess I should say. And it came to me, you have this knowledge and this awareness, because I honestly will tell you, I did not want to be reading cards on this. I read them most days for people, and I didn't want to be doing that on the internet as well. And this has turned out wonderful for me because it brings back an aspect of my life that I did it for many, many years. And I really, really, really enjoy it. And based on the feedback I'm getting from people, some people tell me they re-listen several times over and find that a lot of what I'm saying for one person fits them. And this makes sense to me. I'll tell you why it makes sense. Because we're all part of the one. Just like my fingers in my hand. They're all different fingers. They all have a different function, but they're a part of the whole. We are part of the whole. We are in a reflected element of the whole. And the more we know that their love exists and having faith and trust and being at one, the more we are aware. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go on to the other person that I do have on my list. I don't have as many on my list because one of the ladies I was praying for made her transition over the weekend. And if some of you may have remembered, I was doing a prayer for healing, and it got interrupted, and I got I was like, how dare you interrupt my thought? But in retrospect, I thought there's a reason for that, because that was a direct interference. It wasn't like somebody... And I thought to myself, I don't know how much longer this is. And sure enough, she made her transition. And and sometimes the transition is where we need to be and what needs to have happen. So I just wanted to let you know that for those that saw that show, because I was really mad interrupting my treatment, because I was really into the treatment and it was just bang right out, shut me down. And I had all sorts of thoughts like, is there somebody that doesn't want this person to live? Well, it wasn't that. It was just that it was getting time for her transition, and not to interfere with that, because it can. And why prolong someone's agony? Yeah, not necessarily. Okay, this I found was a really interesting in a reading that I did for somebody this week. I did many readings on Saturdays, and one of them, and I'm just gonna, she'll know who it is, because I told her I was doing this, and she said she may come and listen, is that it's a very intriguing element for me, because as you know, many of us can't go into the US or any other countries for various reasons. And she has applied to be admitted because her daughter lives down in the US, and she's applying to get a permit to be able to move there. And I said I would do a mental mind treatment that this becomes easy. So here we go. I know there is one power and there is one essence in all things. I also know that everyone is connected to this power and this essence, and it's a matter of acknowledging it and being aware of it. I know that traveling and this time of the universe, of our world, isn't always easy. And the person who I'm thinking about very clearly in my mind is needing to travel to the US. And so the border element, the element of being given approval to travel, the element of traveling through the border hiccups is easy. That the pathway is laid out like a carpet and makes everything flow easily to her end result, which is being with her daughter. I know as I see and look for this, that this pathway there's a couple of little hiccups near the beginning, but it's nothing that can't be overcome. It's not disturbing the carpet that I'm seeing laid out, but it's just like a little bump in, like the carpet going over a bump. And it's just so joyous at the end. And this is what I would concentrate on, is the joyousness of the final goal, not the obstacles that could come up, but the final goal, because I see it as a big, like sun radiating. Like a kid would draw a sun on the water with the sun and then the rays of the sun and like reaching that goal. I know as I look at this that this will be completed, that there will be in that area of the US where you can see that you have arrived, and that pathway is so smooth and so easy and so wonderful. So concentrate on the end result and let the universe take care of all the little hiccups. Allow it to be easy. Do not worry. Let the worry go, because you must concentrate on that end result of being where you want. I know the hiccup is often, how do I cross this line? Don't, at this point, I want to say, just know that it will be sorted. Just know that it'll be all right, and that you will be where you want to be with your daughter, with love and light and ease. I give thanks in knowing that there is showing love, light, and ease for this whole element. And I give thanks and release this, knowing it is true, it is done. We just have to catch up to the timeline. And so I say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. Whoa, quite a array of things tonight here. I don't have anything else on my sheet. Very little tonight. I usually have a lot more. Is there anything else anybody wants? You just write it in really quickly, because I'm just going to do a little roundup one, which I like to do, which is usually when I look up, oh, there's another something else asked of it. I know there is one power and one essence, and I know that power and essence comes to each of us that allow it in to give us our awareness of being connected, of being loved, and knowing that whatever our own pathways have been, that by surrendering them to the love and the light, that we can exhibit and create new habits, new forms, new awarenesses. The bottom line, as I sense here, is that we're still ourselves, and we need to love and honor who we are. And so what I began here as a treatment in one way is moving into a total different framework. The love and the acceptance of self, without judgment, without criticism. We are who we are, and we need to love ourselves for who we are. Many people will criticize us for being this, that, or the other, but that is always their projection and their awareness, their concept. And we can comply and change if it seems appropriate or not. Because if another person does not accept you and does not love you for who you are, that is looking at you through their grid of their life, their belief systems, their awareness. And that is difficult for many, because we forget that. We think we're responsible, we're the ones, who we are. Often in our passage of life, what we do is we realize some of our traits are not the easiest to live with or for others to live with, and we endeavor to change those. But that has to come from inside. And sometimes, yes, people will say, how come this or how come that? And we can take it as information, or we can take it just realizing this is who I am. Depends how stubborn you are, actually, how that works. But the realization that you have the ability to shift and change whatever you choose to know that you are loved beyond measure, no matter what you do, say, etc., you are still loved because you're still part of this earthly plane, and this earth has love that says, I know that I use that word a lot, I am. I am that I am. Yes, I am that I am. I am who I am in every way, shape, or form. And also, I reflect the lovingness of this planet, of this universe, in this time and this place, and now creating a life that gives me fulfillment, awareness, joy, and happiness. I give thanks in the knowing that I am part of the whole. I give thanks in knowing that I do have awareness and knowledge to be able to utilize. And I release this thought, knowing that is true, by saying thank you, thank you, thank you to the great divine. And so it is. And so it is. And that brings close to tonight's talk. I will be back on Wednesday morning with Norma Talks. And again, on Sunday, my Sunday thought will come up. I wish you well. Blessings on everybody. Please go and enjoy your lives and have fun and become who you truly are. Thank you.